Live stream number three for me, at least. For the other people, hopefully, is the first one. Well, I've seen Brandon before today, this evening. Um, hello, friends. How are you all doing? Brandon, what's up?
I'm doing great. Yeah, like I said, I was lucky enough to join you, Maddie, and David, and John Dick, the whole crew on the .NET MAUI stand-up today, where I was promoting my new .NET MAUI course, which I'll also be promoting here in just a second.
Cool. Plugging it everywhere. That's the way it works. Absolutely. Did you subscribe to my channel yet? Yeah. Okay. Just do it right now.
Of
No, I'm kidding.
course.
Cliff. Yeah. I actually have something that I need to share on your course as well. I've been, I need to promote everything .NET Maui. So later, I think it's late this week. So next week, watch my socials. I'll have a little discount code for Brandon's amazing course on Dome Train, which he's going to talk about. Cliff, what's been up with you? Flying around the world, coding while doing it?
Yeah, busy. Just got back from holiday. I was saying to Brandon earlier, got back from holiday, completely forgotten about all my holiday now. That was yesterday. Today it's back to
That sounds good.
work, working hard. And was I on holiday? I can't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had a few nice days with the family in Athens, which was good.
Ah,
And yeah,
nice.
just trying to get back into things now. Working on a project that's going to use Tizen and
Oh,
really big screens, which is kind of
nice.
nice. Yeah, and hopefully that works out really well. Some bits in there that got to use from the community toolkit, which is going to be nice. And yeah, no, but life is good at the moment, so just busy. So
Great. That's
yeah.
good to hear. Tanya, what's up with you? Everything all right?
Hello, it's also very nice because weather is more warmer than it was.
Nice. Yeah, spring is coming over here on this side of the world, so that's great. Vladislav, I guess it's the same for you.
Yeah, hello. Spring's coming really fast and a lot of work on garden. Like potatoes, tomatoes, cabbage, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You shared some pictures, I know probably last year or even the year before as well, where you sent some pictures of like all the stuff that you've been growing yourself, which is really amazing. I'm really jealous of that. I should do that more. I only see like this
Yeah.
little fruit thing right here. That's the only thing I see. I don't know. Don't get
Yeah.
outside too much.
Come to us in autumn.
Yeah. Victor, what about you? It's always good weather over there, right? So
Yeah, it's sunny now. I'm back from spring vacations and catching up the rest of the day is actually working with James on the metadata for the media element.
oh, that's right. I hope we
It's
have something. I didn't check the schedule yet. I don't think. Oh, we
not in
don't
the
have
schedule,
element
but
on here.
maybe
Okay. So
later
then
on.
let's just talk about it now.
We'll do it
Because
live.
James, who's in the chat, yeah, let's go off script. That always works well. Who's in the chat? Neuromatrix is doing amazing work with the media element. He introduced the full screen that everyone was waiting for. So that's in there right now. Go test it out. I don't think we've had a couple of iterations which weren't even like they stopped existing before they were even released because it wasn't great. It's super hard to implement full screen on all the platforms in a great way. But James did it now. We released it, and we don't see a ton of issues, I think, on it. So hopefully it's working very well. That's my assumption because I'm this optimistic person. But he didn't stop there. He's now working on like showing metadata. So you have kind of like on the control center for iOS, playing in the background, and you will see the little icon, the little image. Um, what else did you mention, Victor? Like there was some one other thing.
It's showing in the background, for example, if you close the app or close or lock the device, you will be able to see the player in the
Oh yeah,
background.
exactly. So that kind of stuff. Yeah. Super cool. So
Yeah.
lots of stuff still to explore for the media element. I think I've seen some other things there as well in that area. So yeah, there's lots going on. And more things as well, which we'll touch on a little bit right after this break from Brandon, where he goes to promote his course a little bit. You're muted.
Hey,
Oh,
there we
okay. I'm sorry.
go.
Okay, yeah.
this this stand-up is brought to you by .NET MAUI from zero to hero on
Woo.
dometrain.com. So this is a .NET MAUI course that I spent months working on. My whole holiday, November, December, January, put a ton of time, ton of love into this course because this is something that I wish it had existed back in the day when I was first learning Xamarin and .NET MAUI. Because yes, everything you'll find in here is information you can find all around the internet. There's tons of YouTube videos out there. There's tons of documentation out there. But here we can follow a step-by-step curriculum where I guide you through how to create your first .NET MAUI app. So probably everybody watching the stream today has already created their first .NET MAUI app. But if you have somebody new joining your team, or if you're a manager, director, and looking for a course where you can just sit somebody down for, this is actually over almost 11 hours of material here, you can have them dive into .NET MAUI right away, because this will teach you how to create your first .NET MAUI app. So we go over things like layouts and padding and margin and even XAML, and of course, collection views, all this fun stuff that you need for the basics for .NET MAUI. And then I have another course here called Deep Dive, where we get into all the really, we'll say nitty gritty stuff, but this is all things you will do in your .NET MAUI apps over your career at some point, from creating custom .NET MAUI controls. So shout out to Vlad for letting me use his calendar view tutorial. Vlad put out an amazing blog post on how to create a custom calendar view using .NET MAUI handlers. So we feature that in the course here. And then we also talk about things like memory management, so how to avoid memory leaks and how to avoid circular references. We dive into things like async await to explain to you how the .NET compiler and runtime actually does async await under the hood, because it's probably not what you think if you've never looked into it before. We show you how to use REST APIs or consume REST APIs from your .NET MAUI app, so using tools like Refit and the new Microsoft's resilience library that'll automatically retry an API if the first call fails, which is super important in mobile apps, because we can never depend on our internet connections given cellular networks and switching between Wi-Fi and all that fun stuff. We'll dive into local storage, so how to store things using iPreferences and local databases, how to use GraphQL with .NET MAUI apps using an amazing library called Strawberry Shake that basically writes all the code for you. Highly recommend it. We'll go over unit testing, so how you can update your app for unit testing and best practices there. These cross-platform services, so which formerly like Xamarin Essentials. We'll talk about some manual testing. So everything you need is here in this course. And so, like I said, if you're just getting started with MAUI, check out our Getting Started course, or if you've been using MAUI for a while and you've always wondered how to best implement REST APIs, GraphQL APIs, local storage, check out the Deep Dive course. And then if somebody new ever joins your team, sit them down in front of this course for 11 hours. They won't bug you for the rest of the week. And then when they're done, they're a productive member of the team.
Perfect. That's a great way of onboarding. Just here, I'll check you in a little office here. Just watch Brandon for 11 hours.
Yeah, just come hang out with me for 11 hours, and then you'll be a MAUI expert.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I saw some people already in the chat. I don't know if it was this stream or one other stream where people are already going through it. So that's really great. Perfect. And I love how it's stuff from Vlad in there, and how we're all just working together on all the same stuff basically, and all community stuff, which is what this is really about.
Vlad, and step one is literally installing, like getting started. This is just installing all the .NET MAUI toolkits.
Boom. There we go.
Very selfish.
Important stuff first. Absolutely. Vlad, you came out on April 1st. I was shocked. You came out with the message, I'm going to do React Native, I think it was. And I was like, no. But then it led up to this blog post where you go into like choosing the right framework for your next application, because jokingly, we make fun of other, kind of like friendly competition, obviously. But we all love each other. We have Avalonia. We all work on .NET, which is what we love. And you wrote a blog post on how to choose the right one for your project.
Yeah, as a winner, .NET is a winner, of course. When we choose a framework for cross-platform applications, so my choice is mostly .NET MAUI. But in this article, I described and compared to three frameworks, the most popular like .NET MAUI, Uno, and Avalonia. And for why I decided to choose it and compare them, I needed to create a tvOS application using Media. I tried to use Media Element on tvOS. And Avalonia in the recent release, the latest release beta, in beta they added, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 new platforms, and one of them is tvOS. So Avalonia is probably now supports them almost all platforms. And also at the bottom of this article, if you scroll down, you will see an amazing tool, amazing template studio, which allows you to create a more powerful application right after you choose this one, template studio that allow you to predefine your application, like including all platforms that you need, including all like MVVM style or model view style or whatever. And like user experience was great. As for me, for just the first time I used the Avalonia. So if you need some other platforms that .NET MAUI currently does not support, I highly recommend you to choose between Uno or Avalonia. If you WPF expert, Avalonia probably is the best for you. If you prefer WinUI, then choose Uno. So it's my conclusion for this article.
Yeah, perfect. I think so. tvOS, I think you can do it through like our .NET stuff as well, not through .NET MAUI, but through .NET for iOS, which is basically Xamarin.iOS before.
Yeah, but
yeah.
for that, it will be not like a cross-platform application. It will be just
absolutely,
for tvOS.
Yep.
Yeah, but with Avalonia, it allows you to like create for all platforms.
Yeah,
exactly the same app.
So George in the chat asks, like, "Hey, does anyone know when or if .NET MAUI will support these other platforms?" We don't have any immediate plans for it right now, and it's kind of like based on whatever signals we pick up from you, basically the people out there, where we see the need for stuff. Um, for Xamarin, it was kind of crazy. Like we supported all things. For Xamarin Forms, a little bit less, but still you could run it on a lot of things. I know I've played around with like a HoloLens, which was basically just a UWP app. So we don't have any plans to really add platforms right now, just because we're busy with all the platforms that we've got going on. So when, if, maybe someday, but not right now. Just find a way to make clear to us that there is a lot of people needing a certain platform to be supported, and then we can think about it. But right now, we just see we have the major platforms running, and all the rest. Like there's definitely people asking for a couple of other platforms, but based on the data that we retrieve on that, it's like the people asking for it are typically loud, but there's not a lot of them. So it's always kind of like hard to go through the noise. I'm not trying to talk bad about anyone, but kind of like determine like, is this something that someone is really passionate about and wants us to do? But if it's just a one person, it's hard to justify working on implementing a full new platform for just so all kinds of trade-offs going on there. But we're constantly kind of like continually refining our strategy and looking for signals to make decisions on. So not saying it's never happening, but not in the near future, probably.
Yeah, I can just add one sentence that as for compared to Avalonia, the tvOS is based on iOS, so implementation is almost the same a la Mac Catalyst implementation. So it's almost the same, but most requested is of course Linux support for .NET MAUI. Yeah, maybe .NET 10.
Who knows? .NET X. I don't know. It's going to be .NET 10. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
X, because X is like the what's it called? What's the window manager? Anyway. I'm starting all kinds of conspiracy theories.
iPhone 10 style.
Yeah. Then we have like not one, but two releases. One, the hot of the press, because I released it like just before I went to dinner, which is a couple of hours ago. Because we released 8.0. Can't touch this. Because we have touch behavior. Yes, Brandon, nice. Touch behavior, previously known as touch effect in the Xamarin Community Toolkit. A lot of people were waiting for that one. Little side note, Brandon, we probably want to remove the comment in the bottom. And now we have the touch behavior implemented, because effects are not really a thing anymore in .NET MAUI. So we're transitioning all those things to a behavior, and that's what we did for touch behavior. And by we, I actually mean Alexander, which is great, because James, who did that I just mentioned, all the stuff on the media element from the community, not part of our core team, although it almost feels like it because he's doing so much. We also have now Alexander, who donated this big feature for the touch behavior, implemented it for our little toolkit, which is really amazing, because this is something that a lot of people were waiting for. His little handle there is Axmaster. So he's been working on this very hard, closely together with us for a good while. And we have all the documentation. Sean, who is now on vacation, typically does all this stuff. I think we had some stuff that we could recycle from the Xamarin Community Toolkit, but we still had to refine it. And what Alexander also did perfectly is add like a little guide here, migrating from Xamarin Community Toolkit to from the touch effect basically to the touch behavior. So all the breaking changes are documented right here. A couple of renames here and there, things that you need to know, all right here in the documentation. So that's perfect. Really great. Happy to have that out there. But we did discover while doing so that there was a little weird thing with the behavior and binding context. We were like, well, especially I think Brandon was like, I don't know, what's going on here? I think he pulled down the .NET MAUI code base and debugging through there, and like, what the hell is going on? And then he found out like, oh, we're doing something stupid. You have all the details, Brandon. Like, we didn't add the right base behavior thing, and that passed down the binding context, something like that.
Well, yes. So yeah, to fill everybody in, behaviors in .NET MAUI work a little differently. They do not inherit the binding context from their parent, or rather, a better way to put it is you attach a behavior to a view, and that behavior does not inherit the attached view's binding context. So it's a little bit different than what we're used to in certainly Xamarin Forms, and with everything else in .NET MAUI, where like if you add a converter, that'll automatically inherit the parent's binding context. If you use anything else, they all inherit their parents' binding context. Like views will inherit the binding context of their layout, which inherits the binding context of the page. But behaviors are just totally different. The .NET MAUI engineering team decided to make that change because you can actually use the same behavior on multiple views. Right, when touch behavior came out, we had a couple bugs that were opened up about the fact that the commands weren't working and the bindings weren't passing in the command parameters to the commands, for example. And we were able to close both issues, explaining to them like, nope, that's just how .NET MAUI works now. Here's what your code should look like. And then Alexander spun up a discussion, was like, hey, why don't we just do this automatically? And my first reaction was like, no, because this is how .NET MAUI works now. We don't make framework changes. We just bubble them up, or rather, they'll bubble up through us. But then Pedro pointed out, I was like, hey, no, actually, all of our other behaviors already do that. And what we missed in this initial PR was we didn't have touch behavior inherit from a base class we have called base behavior. So after seeing that we were already automatically setting binding contexts for all of our other behaviors, it felt a bit disingenuous not to do that for touch behavior. So I spent all day Tuesday putting together this PR that updates all of our behaviors. So there was a couple other behaviors, specifically platform behaviors. So things like icon oh gosh, what's the name of it? The icon tint behavior. A couple of those also we found were not inheriting from base behavior. And so had to re-architect a lot of things under the hood. This is actually a bigger PR than it sounds like. But now, yeah, with 8.0.1, every behavior inside of the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit will automatically inherit the attached views binding context. So when you attach touch behavior to a label, then that touch behavior's binding context will automatically be the label's binding context for you. And yeah, I think that was it. I think that was the big change. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully we don't break things for you. Well, like I said, every behavior now will automatically inherit these binding contexts. So one word of caution is if you are reusing behaviors, like if you have a behavior inside of a style, that behavior will be reused and attached to multiple views. We only inherit the first attached view. So if you reuse a behavior and it gets attached to a label in one page and then an entry in another page, it'll still only automatically set the binding context to that first parent, that first label in this example. So something to keep in mind, but it is reusing behaviors is a bit obscure. I'm not sure if many folks are doing that anyway. So this will definitely benefit 95, 98% of developers who use behaviors in, we'll say, the typical way we consume them. But keep this in mind if you are reusing behaviors, because it might break something for you.
Yep. Yeah, coincidentally, in the Discord server I have set up for like my YouTube channel, that kind of stuff, there is one person who mentioned like, hey, I just updated and things stopped working. So I didn't really upload the details yet, but it seems like at least one person kind of like now ran into this, but hopefully not too many. Because yeah, I don't think too many people are actually doing that like that. So yeah, but
Yeah,
just glad that we. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, because if you were already manually setting the binding context for each behavior, like we're supposed to be doing now in .NET MAUI, this won't break anything because you're already manually setting that.
Right.
So
yeah,
my guess is they were probably doing something a little wonky, which is not intended, and we broke their workaround, probably, likely.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Which
if it is
fine.
something we broke, please do surface that. We should do a hotfix if we did break anything pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely. We did find a couple of those in especially examine forms where things were broken, but it's then broken for so long. So many people worked around it that it's hard to kind of like fix it because you will break everyone with the workaround, right? So whole mess with that kind of stuff. But that as an aside. Okay, great. So we got these two releases out there, and I'm like really happy that this is lean project. I was going to say a little project. It's a big project by now, but I'm glad that we can just do our own thing, release these things quickly if we see that something is wrong, and kind of like roll with it and bring that to you immediately. I think the next big thing, which is also not on the list, is because we're also obviously looking at like, hey, what are the things that people need for migrating from Xamarin to .NET MAUI, because that is coming in May 1, 2021. Then we're already too late, 2024. So May 1, in like a few weeks, Xamarin support is going to stop. You need to be on .NET MAUI. And the next big thing is going to be camera view, which we also have a PR for right now. Again, someone from the community, sort of. Like, this is definitely also backed by the company that he's working at. They did all of this work because they needed the camera view, and they were like, it's not there yet, so we're going to implement it. But because they have used the Xamarin Community Toolkit and the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, because they've used so many of our code and enjoyed it, they were like, we want to do something back. We have this camera view implementation. We want to give that to you so that everyone can benefit, just like we have benefited from all the work that you've done for us. So yes, Cliff, absolutely. That is big applause. That is something, the bare minimum, I would say, other companies should do as well. So really, really great. We're working on this, and now with like the touch behavior out of the way, I think this is the next and also last, hopefully, big thing that we need to implement from the Xamarin Community Toolkit. I think it looks pretty amazing from like the first concept. So we're going to have to go through this and hopefully merge this soon so that we can bring that to you as well.
And this one's only
lines.
2,600. Touch behavior was over 5,000 lines. That was such a massive PR.
Crazy.
So yeah, 2,000. What's 2,000 lines of code amongst friends?
Yeah, I mean, that should be half of the work. Yeah. So great work. Yeah, George in the chat, well done. Zitao P. I know his name is Zitao, so that's his first name. So yeah, really great work. We're working on that with him. What else is on my list? I see no proposals. I see issues. Vlad, Toast. Oh, actually, maybe this reminds me. Are we coming for that? This reminds me of like the 8.0 release that we did. Sorry, I'm a little bit skipping back and forth. I think there was also a breaking change on the snack bar for Windows, which might be a little bit important to highlight.
Yes.
So I think we rewrote the whole implementation for snack bar on Windows, Vlad.
Yeah, exactly. So on Windows, not found. Okay. On Windows, we wrote it, and now you need some manual changes to make snack bar work. You need to also update your package manifest file. It's required that because previously when you click on action button in snack bar, nothing happened. It just reopened a new instance of your application. And now with these changes, your action will really execute it. And that's it. That is it.
we finally did it right. But
yeah, finally.
Yeah, I will say, so this was tough for us because, well, it was kind of a last minute, like, thankfully, member of the community reached out and was like, hey, I tried out your preview NuGet package and my Windows app just crashes on startup now. We were like, oh, that's not good. Literally the night before we were going to release version 8. So yeah, we were able to narrow it down. It was caused by this new snack bar implementation that requires you, like Vlad said, to update your package.apex manifest file. And the crash was happening because our code was looking for this code in your Apex manifest file. And if it wasn't there, it would just crash. And so what we realized is we just broke everybody's .NET MAUI Windows app that uses the community toolkit. So the way we're able to still support the proper implementation of snack bar on Windows is, now you have to opt into it. So you have to enable the snack bar on Windows in our MAUI community toolkit options. And then also add in the updates to your package Apex manifest file. So this way now we won't go looking for this stuff in your manifest unless we know you've opted into it. So it's a little wonky. This is the first time we've ever had an opt-in to a feature or a feature on a specific platform, but we've added in a bunch of runtime exceptions that check to make sure you've opted in and checks to make sure that this code is in place. And it will throw an exception at runtime crashing your app. But the exception message explains why, explains this update, and points you to the docs. So hopefully that's enough to help everybody migrate. Apologize, we kind of broke snack bar on Windows for everybody now, but now we're doing it the right way. So that's the good news.
Sometimes that needs to happen for a good reason. So that was the other big thing. I think there was maybe one more. Did we highlight one other thing in that release? By the way, I fixed that 404 link real quick on this release for the updated documentation that you click there. So that's done live on stream. Navigation bar. Oh yeah, that's cool as well. I think we actually discussed this on the stream at some point as well. It was how did we call it before? Navigation bar, maybe also effect or something like that. And with this, you can change, because there was a bit of confusion, I remember now, even from Brandon with like, oh, the navigation bar. That's no.
We have the status bar.
Yeah.
We have the status bar behavior. And someone's like, we should have a navigation bar behavior. And I was like,
yep.
Already done. Here's the documentation. You can use it today. And they're like, no. On Android, the navigation bar is down here.
We iOS people don't understand that. But yeah,
I
this
don't.
is like the system navigation bar for Android, sorry, that you can give a color as well. And we had that for the Examine Community Toolkit. Now, thanks to Pedro, still our good friend, we have that implemented for the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit as well, complete with a sample documentation. Everything is in here, so you can brighten up your Android app with all kinds of colors on the top, on the bottom, do whatever you want. So that's with all the releases. And I was actually going to go to, which reminded me of the snack bar, because I saw the toast. They're all related. Issues, flat, toast.show crashing on iOS release builds. I have the feeling this has something to do with trimming and that kind of stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And yeah, also if you this is the issue, I just added in this discussion, and also there is an open PR for it, which actually fixes the issue. And if you open that pull request with the fix, it's just one line of code which updates from children in uppercase to the like a field. And if you open the whole file, yeah, and once again, and scroll down, you can see it uses this field on line 12, but we used and created this property children and converted it to frozen set. If I'm not mistaken, Brandon, you added this frozen set.
I did. I love Frozen Set.
Yeah, and the main question, why do we need it here? Why can't we use like just a children field?
So, well, yeah, previously this was an iRead-only list. And then, yeah, in .NET 8, the team came out with Frozen Set, which is basically the same idea as it's what iRead-only list should have been, because it doesn't allow you to edit anything in the list, even if you try to be sneaky and using like object references. Like you can always go into a list and swap out an object kind of behind the scenes without having to use like list.add or list.remove or list.insert or any of those. So Frozen Set actually freezes the set, the collection. And with Frozen Set, it's very performant. So it's a little bit more expensive to create, but then when you consume it, everything's indexed. And because .NET knows where everything already is and that it's not going to change, then you basically get super fast lookup speeds compared to lists. So yes, I made this change when we updated to .NET 8 for a little performance bump. But the problem here isn't actually a bug with us. It's a bug with the mono interpreter. The mono interpreter is actually removing this systems.collections.immutable namespace for some reason. So yeah, this is one that I want to chat about with you guys because yes, it does look like a real simple change, and to be honest, I haven't tested it, but I assume this fixes the bug. But really, it's not a bug in our code. So I was kind of curious, does anybody know if the .NET team's aware of this, or the Mono team, or whoever works on the Mono interpreter nowadays? Because this is certainly something we need to bubble up to them. And if they're already fixing it, then that also solves our problem. But does anybody know?
Not from the top of my head. The most likely suspect would be like .NET/runtime or something. Yes. But not sure. If no one else knows, I can.
If you could, that'd be awesome. Because this isn't the only place where we're using Frozen Set in the library. So yes, this bug is accurate. Everything's diagnosed. But yeah, I think getting some more information about, does the .NET team know about this? Are they already working on a fix? Since it's not necessarily a bug in our code. And then, yeah, if we know that timeline, we can work better with it. Because obviously, if they've already fixed it, it's going to be out in the next release, then we're good. But if it's not going to be something that's fixed till .NET 9, then really what we should do is go back and remove any reference to the systems.collections.immutable namespace. So that'd be frozen, like frozen set, frozen dictionary, and there's also like immutable list, immutable dictionary. We're not using any of those in our library, but those also fall under the immutable namespace. So this seems like a pretty big bug that hopefully we can get on the radar for the .NET team. And then, yeah, that'll also help us figure out what the fix or how much work we need to put into the fix.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Also, why I choose this pull request? Because actually here we usually have 2 or 3 items, maximum items in children. Like in snack bar or toast, we have a label and we have button. So is it worth creating the frozen set here at all? That was like a main
Interesting.
question here.
Good point. Yeah.
So probably, yeah, as for this pull request, maybe it was just approve and merge it like it and remove that frozen set at least from this alert view, because actually it does not give us a lot of like benefits of performance improvements or whatever.
Sold. Oh no, it's failing on Windows. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, I will take a look and see why it fails.
Maybe we can click update
Yeah.
and it'll automatically fix itself.
Well, that's always what I hope. Yeah. Doesn't work a whole lot, unfortunately. Cool.
Sorry, just the last question here. Should we remove children property, or for now keep it as it? Yeah, I know it's a pretty change.
Yeah.
So it probably will require version 9.
Yeah, I'd say we can definitely merge this now since it's not the breaking change.
We can release it together with camera view, which probably will be the new major version, right? And
yeah.
Well,
and with that we can probably update.
That's a separate package, so I don't know.
Got it. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I say, yeah. Gerald, let us know what you can find out. Once we get more info from the .NET team, like I said, if we know that they're not going to be able to fix that mono interpreter bug until say .NET 9, then yeah, I can go through and just remove any references to frozen set, frozen collection, anything in that namespace from our library, and then we can maybe add it back if we want in .NET 9 release. But yeah, it's a tough one because it's again one of those bugs that's bubbling up through our library that isn't necessarily our fault, but
Yep.
we'll help you fix it.
We're on the case. We're going to do it. So in the meanwhile, James is in the chat, who says everything is failing on Windows today. It's a unit test, so there's that. But also, can you decide or review my PR and tell me if I can continue? I've labeled it as a proposal, I think. So that's about his lock screen metadata thing. I guess we kind of like it went through the cracks there. Typically, we have the whole procedure of like, or is this still an issue, or is it already PR? No, it's already PR. So with like, hey, going through a proposal, we vote here on the stream, yes or no. Do we want to do this? I personally don't see any objections to doing this. I think this is just expanding on everything Media Element has to offer. Like it already mentions like 3 issues for people requesting this. So, I think there's a good need for it. And it will just, extend everything that we have here right now. So is there any questions from anyone? Or do you want to have like, right, there's some stuff to go through here at least. So maybe we cannot just decide it right here with everything looking through it. That's not a very interesting live stream, but.
And I'll say, this reminds me of, oh gosh, there was a Xamarin Forms library that similar vibes where it was kind of focused on, yeah, like albums and artists. And I will say, I remember using that library and being a bit confused because you can use Media Element for so many different things. You can use it for audio, you can use it to video, you can use it for streaming. So, yeah, my only thought is I don't know if there's like a different class or different namespace or something where we don't imply that this is only for audio. Just something like that, because I remember consuming that library in one of my Xamarin Forms apps. And yeah, I was just like, I just want to stream a video. And it was like, what's your metadata artist, for example? I was
Right.
like, do I need that? So yeah, if there's a way we can break them out, or maybe this is a parent class that inherits media element, kind of like audio media element, or I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I'm all for this, but probably just more around like naming and
Yeah, exactly.
structuring.
Maybe it's even more naming, like, the album really, maybe it's like, artwork I see later on. So I don't know what this really maps to which field on, like, maybe that's what this screenshot says, but maybe we can do something with naming already. Like artist really sounds like someone who's singing, right? But it can definitely just as well be like the artist or the performer or whatever who's doing something in a video. So maybe if you come up with a smart name there, it's already a little bit less confusing. But yeah, just looking at this, like, this is super awesome. I would want this for like
when I was reviewing this with James on a meeting a couple of weeks ago about the naming convention, we tried to follow the standards from videos and audios metadata around for what they use, for example, Spotify and other apps. So we came up with, let's use, for example, metadata title, metadata artist, because that's what is already in place standard around the world. So we didn't want to change or put different things, but this is the reason behind those names.
Yeah, no, perfect.
And we'll know naming
This
is
is
easy.
really cool, by the way.
Naming is really easy. We'll just change the names. It'll be easy. I like this. I like it a lot, actually, and I agree. It may make sense for music, but maybe not for video as such.
Yeah, so I could see something where like with touch behavior, I created an image touch behavior that is for touch behavior, but when you want to change the image, since those only worked on very specific .NET MAUI controls. And so I could see something like this where, yeah, we just create a new class called audio media element or something like that. It could even inherit from media elements. You don't have to create a base class to share logic or anything like that. But yeah, like I said, just something where, because let's be honest, nobody reads the docs, myself included. So they're going to install our NuGet package. They're going to say new media element and say like media element dot, and then, see the API service and try to figure it out from there. So if we can help them a little bit, nudge them towards where we think they need to go. I don't know if we would go as far as renaming media element to like video media element and then creating this as audio media element, but certainly just something to help out folks like me who don't read the docs.
So I think TLDR, we want to have this functionality. Definitely go work on that, but we have to figure out like a couple of naming things at least for the properties around what you're going to fill and how we're actually going to do that. But let's have a discussion in this PR that's already there, and we will make it into something. So in that sense, approved, but needs work. Let's keep it at that.
Yeah, and Victor, you said you've been working on this. Is it cool if I assign this to you live?
Yeah, actually, I'm assigning already, no?
Well, now you are.
Oh, no.
Thanks, Victor.
Sure. I have been actually helping James running some tests on my local. Yep. Today.
Awesome. Yeah, and thanks, James.
Right. Okay, last couple of things because we have 10 minutes left. We don't have that much left as well, so that's great. Discussions. Brandon, store the window size and position on Windows. Oh, you have the other one?
You might need to refresh. We had some last minute updates to the agenda. This one is Tanya.
Tanya, oh, that's great.
Yes,
I
have fixed recently this bug that was specified in this issue about avatar view on Android, that background color was displayed as border in when image is selected in Android. So, and also this guy who created this issue specified that it would be nice, I think, that if Gravatar view, for example, can load this image, and there is text on avatar view, and this text can be like displayed, and also this another guy, George, sorry, I can pronounce his surname. He specified that he would like to do these features. So should we like do it?
Yeah, I was actually chatting with George this morning, my time. And so, first of all, I'll say, Tanya, thanks for opening up the PR. And George, thanks for reviewing Tanya's PR. For those curious, where is the link to the PR? Somewhere in
I
here.
left somewhere. Yes, here we go.
I know it's linked in here somewhere. This one right here. So yeah, Tanya's already fixed one of the bugs, and George also approves it. So, oh, cool, Tanya, I see you changed this from draft to ready for review. So awesome. We can merge this one too.
Because tests are passed, and I also added another test when I wanted to like check if clip selected correctly when stroke shape is set on avatar view.
Smart. Yeah, the fix is actually, well, we'll say easy. You know, it's one of those things that takes you hours to figure out, but one line of code, right? But yeah, I was chatting with George this morning, and he mentioned he'd like to add in some new features to Avatar View, and we were chatting about things like, or Gravatar View, I should say, Gravatar Image Source. Gravatar Image Source, there we go. So with Gravatar Image Source, obviously it's using Gravatar. Your app's going to have to reach out to the internet to pull down that image. But like we talked about earlier, we shouldn't be relying on internet connections. So yeah, George threw out the idea of what if we had a fallback image? So if you can't connect to Gravatar and get that image source, then it can fall back to a default profile picture or something like that. And I liked it. So I said, that sounds good to me, George.
That
But
would be fantastic.
also happy to chat about it.
Perfect.
So this feature should be implemented on Gravatar only, yes, not avatar view.
How does Avatar View? Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not sure how Avatar View works under the hood off the top of my head, but maybe. Tanya, do you want to lead that with? You could work with George on digging into that if you have the time available.
Yes, I would like, but maybe George can do it by himself.
Sure. And we
I
can
don't
help
know
you.
if
You can help
I would
review
be
it.
usable in this situation. So
That's not true. Well, yeah, we can partner with you, George. No problem.
George has said in the chat about it being a developer supplied fallback image, which I actually prefer the idea of, because it means that the image supplied is one that the developers pick, not one we've kind of imposed on them. So it can fit their branding, the style that the app has got. So I think that is probably better, and it also means that we've not got an image that could potentially be quite large sitting in the repo. Just let them supply one. If they don't supply one, then it could be like a color they could supply instead of an image. Or whatever they want to supply can be put into that view. I quite like the idea.
Cool. Well, thank you, George. And thank you, Tanya. Yeah.
Yeah.
We literally just merged this live on the stream. That might be the first time.
There you go. Fixed. Boom! I'll release
I-
it next on stream next time. Boom. Cool. So now let's me refresh once more because who knows what else might pop up. Brandon, now over to the discussion. Store window size and position on Windows. What's that all about? Sounds interesting.
Yeah, this is a cool discussion. We get emails for everything. So anytime folks in the community open up discussions, issues, pull requests, we get bombarded with emails all day, every day. Love it. Don't ever stop. But yeah, I saw this one come through and I was like, oh, this actually makes a lot of sense. And I didn't know it was something we as developers had to do manually. But basically, the suggestion is to maintain the window size and position. So if somebody closes a .NET MAUI app running on Windows, the next time they reopen it, it'll fill up their monitor or be on this monitor versus that monitor. I mean, basically, kind of like we would probably expect apps to work. It'd be painful for me if I had to reposition an app every time I reopened it to where I wanted it to be last time. So, yeah, I gave an upvote to this. Wow, it's already got 4 upvotes and some eyes watching it, Cliff's watching it. So, yeah, wanted to bring this as a discussion and see if we should help promote this and help push it through as a new feature for Windows.
I always thought it was automatically done by operation system. Yeah, because usually like Windows Explorer, you open it, you change something, and now it always remember the size and position. But my main question is that here we now specified only for Windows. Should we do the same, or should we do the same for Mac Catalyst or other like Windows?
I was thinking the same. Should it be a desktop thing, not just Windows or Mac, but desktop?
Yeah, desktop, and also now we start limiting only, because previously we had some discussions features like a modal window, which was only for desktop, and now it's pretty much the same category of features where we not implemented for all platforms, but implemented specifically for desktop. So main question, should it be a separate package for only for desktop, or it will be somehow extension methods that will save it? So how we actually can implement it and will it not break the Android, for example?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, let's put out a call to action to the community, because I'm not a Windows guy, so I have no idea how to do this, although it does seem pretty straightforward. But yeah, does anybody out there know if there's something similar for Mac Catalyst that we can do too? And then we can make this a desktop feature. Come join in the discussion and let us know, because this makes a lot of sense. But certainly, yeah, if we can knock out Mac and Windows in the same PR, that'd be awesome.
And also the question, where should we store it and how we should store it? So I see here it's a preference API. Maybe, I don't know if it requires any additional configuration, or so we will always need to inject iPreferences there. Maybe it will somehow override user existing setting. Maybe so. I don't think that actually preference. Yeah. Also, I don't think that native implementation in Windows use preference and store it there. So maybe we should choose another storage for it.
Yeah. Or instead of injecting iPreferences, because then we'd have to add that to the service builder for every .NET MAUI app that uses the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, we could just look at what iPreferences uses on Windows and just call those APIs directly. And then, yeah, collisions, that's another good point, Vlad. If somebody's already using a key in their app, then whatever key we decide might collide with it. But
yeah,
maybe we could use a GUID.
We can call it Community Toolkit, and most likely nobody uses this name.
I've just looked at the docs for position and sizing the window, and it specifically says, warning, Mac Catalyst doesn't support resizing and repositioning in Windows programmatically. So that could be a blocker for Mac Catalyst, but I'm literally just reading the docs. I put the link in the chat on the YouTube. I'm not sure if that goes out to all the other channels, but it might not be as easy for Mac.
Well,
Yeah.
it can be useful at least for Windows.
Yeah.
Maybe when Apple extend Mac Catalyst with more APIs for desktop, maybe we can extend it. Yeah, there is a awesome application called Rectangle for macOS that makes all your like Mac Windows looks like Windows. Yeah, so you can resize them, pick them to the left, right, or bottom, all like that. So highly recommended.
Yeah, and I see Pedro in the chat mentioned
Mhm.
that Morton has a library called WinUI X that already exists. So maybe that's the solution then. If we can't do it on if Mac doesn't support this and there's something that already exists for it on Windows, maybe this is the recommendation instead. We've chosen that path a couple times on. It's like, hey, this library exists. We could do it ourselves in the toolkit, or we could just recommend folks use the existing library. So I'll add that to the discussion so that we can finish and end Gerald's 3-hour streaming marathon.
I want to go to bed. One other good point that George is putting in the chat with the discussion on, hey, if we save it to the preferences, then we also need the privacy info manifest for Apple. Potentially, I think, this is on macOS, and macOS doesn't really participate in like the APIs that are used, yes or no, for whatever reason Apple has decided. If you haven't heard about this yet, definitely go just Google, Bing, whatever you use, Apple Privacy Manifest, devblogs.microsoft.com/.net. I wrote a whole blog about it. But this is a new thing that you need for iOS applications if you want to publish your application and updates to your application after May 1, 2024. So in like 3 weeks. And yeah, we have to be mindful about that a little bit, because one of the parts of this privacy manifest is like, hey, if you use a certain API on iOS, then you will need an entry in a privacy manifest, because potentially you are now doing something with sensitive data of your users, and we need to be transparent about that. And that will kind of like result in a section on the App Store listing of your application. So now all apps and all third-party libraries will kind of like need to be mindful of, hey, what APIs are we actually using? And if we are using this, if we have a good reason for it, which might well be, then we have to publish kind of like our information, like, hey, you need to add this entry to your manifest in your app if you want to be using this functionality, basically. So yes, definitely good addition there, George. Thank you.
Do we need some changes in our site? I remember you opened
No.
an issue and
Yeah.
you
think
closed it because
Yeah, so I added the label for the discussion, but I think what happened is that Brandon, which is very logical, only looked at like the open issues and things for the needs discussion label, and this one was a closed one. So
Busted.
that's why it didn't pop up.
You're totally right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there was an issue indeed, like, hey, we need to check out, like, hey, are we using any APIs? I think you did actually some investigation, Vlad.
I
that
think
there
we use
might be
two
some.
or three APIs.
Okay, yeah. But
Yeah.
I think those kind of like, it might still be good actually thinking about it. Although, yeah, not really. So I'm just thinking to myself here. So the things that we needed, I think, overlapped with what .NET MAUI, or .NET rather. .NET MAUI doesn't really need anything by itself, but the .NET runtime does. So whatever we're using kind of like overlapped with what .NET already needs. So the entries that people need to put into a .NET MAUI application anyway is also going to cover whatever we do in the toolkit. So there shouldn't be any additional things that you need to add when you add our library. Basically, that was the story.
I like that.
Will that file be included in .NET MAUI template?
I have a PR open for that on the .NET MAUI
Super.
template for new
Hey.
applications.
Yeah.
And I know there's also like the Shiny templates from Alan Ritchie, and I think the MAUI App Accelerator by Matt Lacey, which is kind of like alternative new MAUI project templates. I think I saw tweets going out that they have that included already. And I think I don't even know what magic is going on there for the shiny ones from Alan Ritchie. He says something cryptical like they try to guesstimate, so they try to kind of like guess what the APIs are that you're using. So he might have even implemented some kind of generator that figures out through your code what the manifest actually should look like. So that sounds super cool. But yeah, for kind of like our stuff, I'm adding into the default templates. I have a PR for that on the .NET MAUI code base. And we're still kind of like investigating if we can make this, if it's necessary to make it easier for users, and if so, how we can do that. So lots going on there. And to be very honest, no one's watching this anyway, right? Like it's among friends. I think Apple is still figuring it out as well. Like they're not super out there with all kinds of very clear information. So we're trying to figure out it together with the rest of the world as Apple kind of like makes information available, because it's not super clear right now what is all needed and what is not. Okay, so there's that. Thank you for the reminder, George. Else I would have totally forgot. The other thing, a MAUI staggered collection view. I think there's no upvote yet in 2 weeks, which is totally crazy. People don't know about this. People in the chat, go upvote it now. I think a lot of people will actually like this. I've heard this question many times before. And I think on Android, it's like super easy because in Android it's built in, but for iOS, it's not really. So it's one of those things that we need a custom implementation. Vlad, do you have more information? I see your name on this.
Yeah.
Do you have the background?
I just opened these two links to the .NET MAUI repo and found these beautiful samples and decided why not to implement it.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, once again, the question: can we include? Should we include it into our community toolkit and extend? So actually, it looks pretty good, and like probably Instagram or Google Photos or some other like popular applications use this UI, and yeah, we can extend. So I investigated it a bit, so we just need to implement another layout for collection view. So it's not like a whole new control, but yeah.
We were having a bit of a chat about this before the stream. I think you missed it, Gerald. And the thoughts were that we're extending a control that's a native control of MAUI. And if they change the implementation, because we know collection view, there's got some issues with it that are being worked on. If it becomes a difficult kind of element to maintain as part of the community toolkit, because the collection view is changing quite a bit as well, isn't it? So just for me, it looks great. I'm just wondering if it's going to be a lot of hard work to maintain something that only a few people are going to use. I don't know. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, I agree with the risk. I think it's something that, I mean, it is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I love this. I could definitely see my apps using this. But also, I think whoever chooses to implement it, kind of similar with pop-up and all the layout bugs we've had to fix over the years with pop-up, I can see a lot of those bugs coming through with collection views. So whoever owns it will have to own it for a year or two and be willing to kind of stick with it. It certainly can't be like a one and done. Like, here's a converter, great, thanks. This is something that, you know, as collection view continues to evolve and improve, like Cliff was mentioned earlier that I forget who he said, was it John Dick who has a collection view, different implementation of collection view that might end up being merged in as the collection view. So something we'll definitely have to keep an eye on, keep focused on, because it could be pretty brittle.
Yeah, John Dick mentioned one on the Gone Mobile podcast where his one, it doesn't measure every element every time elements are added. It's just it measures it once, and that is the size of all the elements for the rest of the collection view. So it's very performant. But you then have an issue is the fact you can only have the elements one size, which means this layout possibly wouldn't work if that's so. It's just, until we know where the Maui team are going to go with collection view, it's a bit difficult to say whether it's worth putting the effort into this or not. But I do love it. I can see an app where I'd use it and it looks beautiful, but it's whether we put the effort in or not.
So maybe some more homework, Gerald, if you could fill us
so
in
I
on if there's
know.
any plans to
I was
change
gonna
collection
say,
view.
like, obviously, like, I can kind of like dance around this, but obviously there's work to do on the collection view. I think actually we're focusing a lot of work on that in the upcoming time. That we've just said, like, yes, this is an important control. We need to do some work here, and we're going to do it. So definitely, if we were to consider this, definitely postpone it a little bit, like 1 or 2 months at least, to see what kind of like shakes out of that. Like you said, like on the .NET MAUI team, John Dick has like kind of like his own experiment going on with a new implementation of the collection view. At the same time, we're kind of like investigating, but because one of the things that's kind of like holding us back on at least iOS is the backwards compatibility, because we are supporting like iOS 10 and up or something, and I think there has been some breaking change in like iOS 14, from the top of my head, and we're trying to kind of like do both. But iOS 14 by this time is already like years old, right? Like, if you look at the numbers, it's like almost not used anymore. So we're like also considering like to make our own lives easier, to bump up the minimum version of iOS, so that we can at least worry less about like all the old stuff that we need to maintain and just focus on what's new and polish that. So yeah, definitely that's an area where changes are going to be. So if someone would want to work on this, you would almost have to kind of like implement your whole own control not based on collection view, which is also probably not great because that will be a ton of more work, and it's a super hard control, else we would have just nailed it down a while ago. So it's super hard to do that right. So yeah, I would probably personally say hold off on this one a little bit longer and see how we are going to go about the collection view. Maybe more news next month.
Or we could just
Exciting.
give that to the team and just say we want the collection view to be able to do this as well, and let them put it in the box. We won't need to do it.
Yeah, no,
Hey, Gerald,
absolutely.
just do
I
this
think
for
there's,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
But there's
there's
a box.
actually wasn't that linked in like the discussion, like two issues. I think there's literally
Yeah.
a proposal on the .NET MAUI repository about this as well. So that also might happen. But I think, like I said, like I can play like everything's nice here, but there's definitely work to do on the collection view before we can even think about implementing new layouts here. So yeah, there's that. All right. And with that, we're at the end of the list. No markup news this month. Sorry, Brandon. Well, actually, it's
I
probably your own
spent all my
fault.
time on touch behavior.
Yeah.
I've still got a proposal I need to crank out, but now
All
I'm
right.
going on
All right.
vacation tomorrow. So
Oh, that's right.
see you
So
guys.
having vacation. Yeah. And thank you, everyone in the chat. George, James, everyone who was there. Thank you for hanging out, providing input. All the people here, of course, the lovely team providing all input. I think I've heard everyone. Victor, maybe, yeah, Victor talked to. So that's good. That's good. We heard a little bit from everyone. And we'll see you all for next month.
Bye, everybody.